God made me understand that the fact that I was independent showed me and demonstrated me. He revealed to me that I had a lack of faith. I had a lack of faith. I had a lack of faith because I was so depending on my own strength, on my own power, that I was not even giving space to the Lord in my life, because everything I was doing, I could just take my hand and do this, tap on my shoulders and say, I did it. But nothing that we do, nothing that we're able to do here on earth is because of our own strength. No, it's because of God's grace. Welcome to Real Bud. I am your host, Mélisande, and this is a space for real conversation in which we prosper. Welcome back to this new episode. I am so happy to welcome you and you to join actually this new experience that we're gonna have today. I'm gonna go straight in, okay? So I'm about to talk today about being independent. And I really would like to call this episode Miss Independent. Do we really like her? Because, I'm just gonna, explain to you like why I actually decided to talk about that and why I think that being an independent woman is not always beneficial. It's not always gonna help you in life. And before I actually go into the topic, I really would like to thank everyone who's continuously supporting us, sending messages, sending testimonies, praying for us. I really, really would like to be, to show my gratitude and say thank you. Thank you a lot for everything I have, received from you, the love, the support, the critics, the good and the bad. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you for everything. Thank you for being part of this community. And thank you for being yourself. Some of you have been really, really authentic. And this is actually what I'm looking for, We want people who are talking about the ugly truth of life and how to navigate that through the word of God. So thank you to you. You can clap for yourself. And I really want to thank you guys for everything. I'm really grateful. So let's talk about that. Miss Independent. Do we really like her? Do we? So, I would like to set a few questions, maybe for you to answer them in the comments or on social media, to see if some of you women outside there feel like independent women, and yes, what do you think about that? The first question I would like to ask is, does this attitude of being an independent woman allows you to live a balanced life? That's my first question. My second question is, are you able to submit yourselves to your spouse and to God? Third question is, what are the factors that pushed you to become an independent woman? And the last question is, what does God says about independent women? So there are so many reasons why actually women become independent. There's so many reasons. It can be hurt. It can be the lack of a father figure. It can be the irresponsibility of a family member, a friend group, the surroundings. It can be because, fear, just pure fear, abuse, insecurities, trust issues, and even a curse. It can be a curse, actually. Certain family are going through a lot of divorce because of the women of a specific family, they get divorced a lot because there are only independent women and they can't actually really submit to their husband, which pushes them to actually separate themselves from their husbands. And I would like to give a general definition of independence. What is independence? How does it look like? And actually, if a woman or a person is independent, it shows that they're depending on themselves and not another authority. You know, that's like a small definition. You can go a bit further, but I choose to just use this type of definition because it really describes what we are about to talk in this episode. I consider myself, or I used to consider myself, as an independent woman. And like I said, there are many reasons why women are becoming independent. And I'm going to give my version on why I became an independent woman. There are 4 reasons why I'm independent today, or considered as an independent woman, although I don't want this in my life. The first thing is my parents, so my mother and my father. The second thing is boarding school, and then we have the society. I'm going to talk about my lovely parents that I truly, truly love, and I really want to honor them the best way I can. If you look in my family, especially my mother's side, I saw so many women, my aunties and my cousins from my mother's side being independent women. All of them, literally, I'm not lying, they're all independent women. You know, I grew up seeing my aunties, my mother being independent, being able to take care of themselves, being able to take decisions in different difficult situations. And for me, they inspired me. And I'm always going to say that the women in my family inspired me to become strong, to have a strong mindset, to have, to be really independent. I really wanted to become an independent woman, And there's one specific woman in our family, my mother's little sister, who's actually her cousin. Every time I see her, she is so independent, really, like the way she walks, the way she talks, the way she presents, like she got it, and she's been so impressive that even men told her, like, whoa, you're like amazing, you can do a lot of things, and I always wanted to be like her. I always wanted to be like, praised by people because I was able to get everything whenever I wanted to and do it without the help of a man, And I also even decided when I was in secondary school to become a translator because she is a translator. She studied languages. So I started actually learning languages to make sure that, one day I'll be able to be like her. I really wanted to have the same path as her. She was my inspiration. I don't know if I can say she was my idol, but she was really like my example, And she's like one of the people who were like a base in my path as an independent woman. And then I also have my mom, who she had like a balanced way, She was independent in certain ways, but she's dependent on the authority of my father. Actually, she was under my father, And she taught me so many things, For example, doing your own hair, doing your nails. So if you see me, the people who know me, they know Mélisande is a DIYer. She will do everything by herself. Like, she will find a solution to build a house if she needs to, I loved it. And she showed me little things to build little stuff. And so my mom was, and my mother's side was like a big factor of why I became an independent woman. Now I have my father. My father, since I'm the only girl he was able to raise, because I have an older sister, but she did not grow up with us. He wanted to make sure that I'm ready for this world because, as he always likes to say, men can be pigs. And there's a TikTok of a celebrity who says, "Men will leave you in the desert without water." My father is like, he always told me, like, Mélisande, learn to take care of yourself. Learn to not depend on the man. And you might think, your father's not actually raising you in a way of being a delicate woman or so. I don't think that he wanted me to be completely independent, and I'm going to explain to you why, because I think he just wanted me to just be prepared in case of like a hard situation. He told me once that there was a family, a wife and a husband who came from Africa and came here to Europe. And this woman, she had no education, she had no like funds, she had no she had no capital, she had actually nothing besides her husband who was taking care of her. One day her husband decided to just leave her and his kids behind, and she had to like become responsible, like more responsible, and take the head of a father in the household because the father was actually absent. He was gone, and though this woman has really suffered a lot. And he was like, I don't want you to be in this situation. So make sure that you get your indication. You make sure that you have your driver's license. Make sure that you know how to build, for example, a table or like a closet, something like that. How to paint in case of I am not able to be there for you. Your brothers are not able to be there for you. And maybe like your husband is not going to be there for you. So you don't depend on people. And the same person who taught me not to be independent was also the same person complaining of the fact that I was too independent. Because he actually programmed me like that, There was a certain moment in my life where I was like, I don't need a man. I can do it myself, I can do it myself whenever I want to. That was my mentality. So every time my father was talking to me or trying to give me some advice, I was actually neglecting it. I remember when my car broke down and I had to go to repair it. My father was insisting to bring my car to the mechanics. And I was like, no, it's my car. It's my name is on it. And he was also keeping all the paperwork. And so I was like, no, I'm gonna take care of this. Like, if you're not there, who's gonna take, like, I need to know those things. And he was like, no, let me do this. I'm your father. I'm here to help you. You need me. You need me. You need me. And I was like, no, Dad, I'm gonna do it by myself. And well, he actually complained so much about me to my mother. She was like, what do you want me to tell you? Like, Mélisande is independent, she's an independent woman. What do you want me to tell you? You know how stubborn she can be. At that moment, I thought I was doing nothing wrong, but I actually was disrespecting my father. I was disrespecting actually the authority that he had over me. If something would happen today, people would not call my friends, people would not call, my boyfriend if I would be living with my boyfriend, which I don't. They would not call my best friends. They would call my father. They would call my mother. Because according to the Bible, I am still under my father's responsibility. Yes, I am a woman. I live by myself. My parents live in another country. Yeah? I live in Belgium, they live in Germany. Yes, I'm alone in this country. So if something would happen, they would call my parents who live in Germany. So I'm legally still under the responsibility of my parents. No matter what society may say, I am my father's daughter, So if anything's going to happen to me, well, I'm going to call my father. And I understood that I was just disrespectful. I was so disrespectful, not honoring my father. You know how many women didn't have the chance or like the opportunity to grow up with their father? And my father is there for me, He is there for me. He really wants me to be safe, And I was just disrespecting him multiple times because in my head, being independent It's like I don't need to listen to a man, neither my father, I don't have to listen to him because I'm an independent woman, and that's not good. That is really not good. Another reason why I'm independent is because my parents sent me to boarding school. I wasn't an rebellious child. I never been a really rebellious child. I was a very calm child. I'm gonna say that I wasn't making too. I wasn't a troublemaker. Okay, I wasn't a troublemaker. They were not concerned about me actually, but they sent me to boarding school because of career opportunities, because of like education. Because in Germany, for those who don't know, the school system is a bit weird in the sense of if you're not rich, white, you come from a certain, yes, social environment that will not put you in good schools. And in Germany, there are different types of schools. And the one where my teacher wanted to put me in was actually for people who would have difficulties to actually get to university. And my father really wanted me to go to university, to like have a degree. He wanted me to have a degree. And he was like, I have all my boys who went to those schools because they said that, yeah, it's the best thing for them. But I don't believe that. Since I am the last born in our family, he was like, we're not going to do that with her. We're going to send her to boarding school, in a French speaking boarding school. So I had to change schools from Germany. I was speaking in German. I had to go to a Belgium school, which was on the border of Germany and Belgium. So every weekend and every holidays, I went back to my parents' home. So in this period, because I was in boarding school for 8 years, and then after boarding school, I went to university. So I was not at home that much, So in this period, I had to learn to be financially responsible. I had to know how to manage my time, how to organize myself for my clothes, my homework. I had to understand how I had to travel from place to place by myself, actually, because my parents were giving me money. That taught me actually how to do certain things, Thanks to my father, I know how to save money. He taught me how to save money. I'm a person, I know how to save money. If I need to do anything, I will save money. I don't have a problem with that. I will not take money from my saving account because I know how it works. I know how much I can put in my saving account for the month, So I had to learn all of those things. I had to become an adult in a very fast way because I was not always surrounded by my parents. Now, certain people are going to say, but that's so sad. Are you not resentful towards them? I was a moment, but then I was like, I'm thankful because without this experience, I would have been where I am right now. And I don't know, Of course, there are certain things I wish that were a bit different, but I just accepted it and I'm going now forward with that. And I forgave them. And I think that I can still live the life that I want to live. But actually, a big part of my childhood got stolen from me. But it's life. I mean, is it life? It is life. It is life. And I'm trying to make the best out of what I had to go through, And the very last element I would say that pushed me also to become an independent woman is society. Society has promoted this narrative of being independent, baby, like a boss baby, do it yourself. Don't hang out with this girl. Don't hang out with that girl. Don't trust anybody, trust yourself. You are sufficient. You can do that whenever you want to. Go do solo trips. Okay, I understand that certain things are not really bad, but this narrative of promoting that created toxic women, in my opinion, I remember there's a song, because there are a lot of songs and even a lot of series where glorify actually women who are independent, There's one song I used to sing when I was a bit younger. I'm not going to name the name of the group because I don't think that their name is appropriate. But it says, I don't need a man to make me happy. I get up on my own feet. I don't need a ring on my finger. So everything I said, Lord, the things that I was singing about, I rebuke it in the name of Jesus, really. And even the song of, Neo, Miss Independent. Yeah, it was a hype song. It's a beautiful song. I like the melody and so, but when you listen to the words, it's not fun to be a full-time independent woman. It's not fun. I promise you. And I'm going to explain to you why. It's not fun. The moment I realized that being an independent woman was not always beneficial for my life was when I was at my pastor's office, and we were a bunch of people, and he was pointing out my attitude in front of a specific situation. At the beginning, he was actually clapping, it's like, yes, you're an independent woman, you're responsible. I was like, I'm responsible, you know how to do stuff, you're smart, you did this and that. But this independent attitude that you have is gonna bring you so many issues. I was like, what? He was like, the fact that you're independent will not always allow you to be submissive to your husband. And it can also lead to the fact that you will not be submissive to God. I was like, who? Because for me, in my head, it was like, yes, I've submitted my life to Christ. Like, he got everything. He is the author of my faith, and the one who consumes this faith. I don't know what you're talking about. And it got me into my feelings. Like, I was thinking about that a lot after that conversation. I was consistently thinking about this conversation I had with my pastor. It is crazy. He said so many things. He said the fact that you had to go to boarding school interrupted your growth, because I had to, be responsible for myself in a very young age. And it's like a part of my childhood got really stolen. And it's because of the circumstances of life. But he was like, it might bring you some problems in the future if you continue to have this attitude and being like stubborn, And I was like, yo, I had to think about being an independent woman after that. And I was talking a lot to friends, a lot with family, people. I wanted to hear their opinion on what an independent woman is to them. And we all came to the conclusion that we don't want to be independent women. I grew up being surrounded by independent women. All the people I've been with in boarding school were independent women because we had no other choice. We were all in survival mode. We had to take care of ourselves. So we automatically became independent. For me, and I said it also to a pastor, I was like, for me, I feel like I'm sufficient. I feel like I don't always need people around me to help myself. I can do it myself, But this is because I got programmed like that. And God actually doesn't want, he doesn't want us to live alone. He wants us to live in community. He wants us to be able to ask for help and help. So my whole existence, my whole life, I was like, yo, that's something. I don't know what I can say, but that is definitely something. I always felt like, because I was always people always pushed me actually to embrace being lonely, being independent. I totally forgot that it is not what Christ wants us to be. And my question was, can I really depend on God? Can I truly depend on God? And guys, I can tell you, God has shown me things about myself where I'm like, yo, I need to change that. I definitely need to change that. I really wanted to understand the concept of independent women, by doing a few researches. And it was very complicated actually to really find someone who would talk about independent women in church, in the biblical aspect. It was very difficult to find, like, people talking about that. There are not a lot of people, and I couldn't get a lot out of my research, but I found a video of Pastor Mark Driscoll, who said in one of his sermons, "Do you want to raise your daughters to be grown independent women?" He answered, "No. Unless you want them to be single, divorced, or mothering men." I was like, ooh, come again? I was like, "Huh?" And then he said, "Our daughters are supposed to be helpers and one with their husbands." He gave a good example of what a strong woman is and what an independent woman is. Because he said that I'm not raising independent women, I'm raising strong women. My daughters are strong. My wife is strong, Independent women are not suitable to be wives. I'm going to repeat that. An independent woman is not suitable to be a wife. But a strong woman who's bold, courageous, a warrior, has a balanced life. She's integrated. She's strong. She has a strong character in Christ. She's able to walk in the spirit of Christ. Okay, that's a strong woman. She's a prayer warrior. She's a helper. She helps her community. And as long as she's not married to a man, she will understand and get God's instructions. As long as she's not married to a man, she will understand and submit to God's instructions. That is actually what he was saying about independent women. While I was listening to this sermon and, taking notes, God made me understand that the fact that I was independent showed me and demonstrated me. He revealed to me that I had a lack of faith. I had a lack of faith. I have a lack of faith because I was so depending on my own strength, on my own power, that I was not even giving space to the Lord in my life. Because everything I was doing, I could just take my hand and do this, tap on my shoulders and say, I did it. But nothing that we do, nothing that we're able to do here on earth is because of our own strength. No, it's because of God's grace and his spirit. And, being an independent woman can be so draining. It is a lifestyle, not being an independent woman. And you have to maintain this status. You have to maintain this look, this facade, this wall that you actually created in front of you. You have to maintain that every time. But it's draining. And you are tired. You will be tired. You will be definitely tired. The word says, it's not by my might, nor by power, but by the Spirit of the Lord that we're capable of living here and doing what we're doing right now. And the thing is also, we can't really 100% fully trust ourselves with certain things, because the Bible says that the heart of man is deceitful above all things. Actually, society wants us to believe that we can do everything by ourselves. We can do everything by ourselves. That push this narrative every time. You can do it. You can do it. Just do it. We can do it. But I believe that we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. And not because you are strengthening yourself, but because God is strengthening you. He's strengthening us with his spirit. Again, I'm not going to say that being independent is completely demonic, because I think that we have examples in the Bible where having a specific independence is important. And if we go to Proverbs 31, we can see that the woman is a responsible woman who takes care, who is a helper, who loves her family, her husband. She has her job, she has her business, but she is someone that her husband is actually praising because she does it under his instructions, She respects and honors her husband, but also she's a good mother. She's a good friend. She's a good, she's a good person in general. She helps people who are vulnerable. So having your own thing, I'm not saying like, okay, because we don't want to be independent women, that we should like now be like, okay, now I'm not going to work anymore. I'm just going to find myself a rich man and stay like that. No, have yourself a job, be educated, do activities, but keep in mind that you are a helper. We're made to be a helper. And I'm going to say something that people might not like, and people might going to stone me for that. But women were made for men. Women were made for men. They were made for God first and then for men, if I can say it like that. Do I consider myself as an independent woman? No. I personally don't do it anymore. If you look into my life, you would definitely say, okay, you're lying, Mélisande. You are an independent woman. Because like I said before, I'm not living in my parents' house anymore. I'm not married. And I'm actually very responsible for myself. Okay, so you can definitely tell me and say like, okay, you're an independent woman, but I don't want to stay like that forever. One thing I want to maybe to like testify is what happened in my last dating experience. I went out with a man, a nice man, who, yeah, he was seeing actually that, I was traveling by myself, being responsible, and he told me actually like, yeah, you are an independent woman. I was like, yes. And is this a problem? He was like, no, I actually love independent women. And I was looking at him. I was like, you are a big red flag. You're a big red flag. No. Actually, in my head, I told him that, yes, I am an independent woman, although I don't consider myself as an independent woman because I want to depend on God and I want to depend on my future husband. But he was like, yes, I wanna have an independent woman, a woman knows what to do. I was like, are you sure? Because if you're gonna encounter someone who is independent, you might be disgusted afterwards or be really disappointed, because if they're really independent, they're not gonna depend on you. They're not able to like follow your instructions. And he was like, no, it's fine to me. I was like, this is a running red flag, because those type of men that would be either divorce you or you would become their sugar mommy or like mothering them, So I was like, nope, it's not going to happen. I'm not looking for that. I don't want that. But hey, I think I've said everything I had to say about being independent. I don't consider myself as being an independent woman, and I really would like to give you guys a few verses to just meditate on them, to just make you understand that without God we can't do anything, and we should not rely on our own abilities, but really on God. So in John 5 verse 19, Jesus says this: very truly, I tell you, the Son can do nothing by himself. He can do only what he sees his Father doing, because whatever the Father does, the Son also does. Don't forget that everything we're able to do is because of God's grace. And we have a Father who is the perfect being, who can show us how to live according to his word. So let's not be fooled by our own, desires, by our own thoughts, by our own imagination, whatever the case is. Let's be focused on what God says about us and how we can live actually according to his will. And then we have in Ephesians 2 verse 8. So Ephesians 2 verse 8 says this: for it is by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not from yourself, It is the gift of God. Again, like I said before, everything we do is by God's grace. So we shouldn't feel sufficient, but understand that His grace is sufficient and that we're able to live a fulfilled life if we do it according to Him, you know. So that's it. I hope you learned something from it. I hope that it opened your eyes and you could actually think about your current situation. You might be maybe considered as an independent woman and you really would like to understand, you know, your life in general. I really wish every woman be to depend on God. Me, when it comes to me, I'm not going to consider myself as an independent woman anymore. I'll definitely work on being more an helper, but also to live more, to be able to live in a community. Because, like I said, being an independent woman is draining. It takes a lot of energy to maintain this lifestyle. So I really encourage you to, you know, think about that and answer to the questions I asked you at the beginning of the video, you know. Come and join the community. Let's, you know, talk about that. See what do you think about that? Or maybe you have like other verses that we can share in the social media or even in the comments. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and on all the streaming platforms. And as well here on YouTube. Subscribe and click on the bell so you can be notified every time I post a new video. We see each other in the next episode. With a lot of love and joy. I wish you a very good day. Thank you guys. See you in the next one.